Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. For those of you who are just coming onto the channel and getting to know me, you can call me Arenia. That's the name I've been using for most of my online activities, I should say, since about 2017. This morning I'd like to talk to you, or at least start to talk to you about the I'm sorry, words. I have to be careful with words. In fact, that's a good point. Let's talk about why words are so important. I was going to talk about something else, but the words were just literally taken from my mouth. Pretty much everything we kind of do comes down to words. And words are the most powerful tool used against us. How so? And you're probably wondering. Look, I call it literomancy because it's essentially casting spells. It's essentially magic. It's essentially manipulation, using language to manipulate and control. An example, in Australia, we have like a minimum wage. That wage is called the award wage. Award. Award is something good. Award is something you've earned. Award is, you've accomplished something. And they've used the word award to describe minimum wage. The bare minimum, the standard, the thing you employers are required to pay as a starting point. It's not an award. It's got nothing to do with awards. But by calling it award, there's a psychological thing that happens that makes it feel positive. It gives it a positive spin, a positive vibe. In Sydney, the transport card that they use to track you all through the public transport system, is the Opal card. Again, Opal, it's something colourful, it's bright, it's precious, it's Australian, it's, the Opal is a beautiful, stunning stone, and, it's valuable, and then they've used the word opal to describe public transport registration token. You've just registered to use public transport, and that's used to track you all over Sydney, all through everywhere you use your Opal card. It's there to track you. Those little details, but it works more than that. Or more precisely, I should probably talk about how it works. Because, here it comes. Good morning. Literomancy works because words have power. Why do words have power? No, you're not climbing into my lap while I'm doing the video. You can have a cuddle later. Hop down. No, you can't come up whilst I'm doing a video. Please don't spill the coffee. The coffee is precious. No. Okay. Let's jump to the Bible for just a second. How did the Bible open? The Word. It is talking about the Word. Why is the Word so important that it's the opening of the Bible? And this relates to a whole lot of other cascading things that I will be talking about in the coming weeks. The word, speech, is something absolutely stunning. It is not just a communication tool. You have taken something abstract, you have taken a concept, you have taken a whole psychological conglomerate of stuff, of information, and you have just congealed it down, linearized it, and converted it into sound. That is speech. That is the word. You have just taken this vastly complex structure of something with a whole lot of psychological, and it's got memory attached. It's a phenomenal amount of information, and you have just boiled it down to sound. What is sound? Vibration. It is vibration. We have chosen certain vibrations to represent certain things, certain sounds, tones, the tone of your voice. Even though everybody has a different voice, we use the same words, we use the same tones within our voice. That that is something that really separates human from pretty much everything else, including the upstairs entities. They are non-physical. They cannot create a physical sound without using physical things. And that is the heart of how literomancy works. They take vastly complex concepts and abstract ideas, they boil them down, and they take that bubble and they use it against us. They charge everything they say with this conglomerate of information which is to be conveyed. So when you read something like the Bible, there are many different ways to read it. There are layers upon layers upon layers. And the deeper you go, the more you find. There's the literal layer where you are reading it as a literal program, a literal set of rules. But that doesn't work. You can't do that because there are things in there that you can't take literally. Eve did not literally talk with a talking snake. Okay, it's not literal. There are certain things in the Bible that are not literal. And yet there are things in the Bible that are not purely abstract. The commandments are not abstract, they are absolute. So when you are looking at these things, and I don't know what she found. I really, no, leave it alone. She's a puppy. Puppies do things. So you really need to when you read something as complex as the Bible, understand that there are many, many layers going on. Jesus is very, very clear when he said that he's dark sayings, that they call them the dark sayings. Dark in the shadow, dark relates to esoterics. Dark also, when you're talking about spiritual teachings, dark sayings essentially does mean occult. Occult means secret. Jesus was teaching the occult. So you've got to be very careful about your words and how you use them and where they are portrayed. The word occult has a lot of very, very dark and sinister connotations. That's part of that conglomerate bubble that I'm speaking about. We don't generally use the word occult when we are talking about the Jesus's teachings. And there's very deliberate reasons for that. What you need to understand is that is how you are controlled and manipulated. This conglomerate of information, the fact that we don't use the word occult with Jesus, okay, that is part of this. That is part of this. It's a taboo. You don't do that. You don't go there. I just went there. Heaven forbid. I'm probably going to get slaughtered in the comments for it. And they're going to prove my point. Okay? When you control the use of language, and the English language is shocking for it. It's the biggest hurdle I have with this new religion that I'm trying to reintroduce, which we can't even nail down a name for because there's no English equivalent. And I don't want to use Japanese because, like I said, predominant of it has come from Greek and the two are compatible languages. It's very, very difficult to do because the English language is deliberately completely void of spiritual terminology. And the spread of English throughout the world was part of this attack against our spiritual bodies. By removing spiritual concepts and terms and words from our language, you cut off our access to the conglomerate information attached to those words. Now, in recent decades, there's been a return of the spiritual because we have appropriated words from other languages. We've appropriated chakra, we've appropriated kundalini, chi, um, mana to an extent. I mean, mana is an old word, and it's a word I'm going to look forward to sharing with you because it's in the Bible and it's there, and it matches with I think it's the Hawaiian version. The Hawaiian meaning of mana is quite similar. Here's the other one. Um, and as a result, when I'm working with this language and trying to bring this, um, your tail, darling. Yes, your tail. Um, distraction much. The So when we're talking about language and I'm trying to do these, working with these ancient principles in a language that isn't compatible, I'm gonna have to make up the terms and the words as I require them. And even that is a bit of a minefield. Um, Decisions are still being made on that. As much as I'm already recording and writing what I've been asked to and what's been needed, I can only use best guess. And anybody who picks up my work and reads the original writings, you're gonna see, for example, hope slash faith slash this slash that. I might have 3 or 4 words you with the slash to put them together because I'm not meaning one of those things. I'm meaning the bubble that they belong to. This isn't gonna work. I'm doing recordings. Um, So we need to talk about that. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, this literomancy. Come on, over you go. And what I want to do during this series and what I'm going to be really bringing forward is this idea that we as a spiritual human community really need to nail down a glossary of terms. We need to reintroduce spiritual words, terms, and concepts back into our language without taking too much from some of the other cultures because they've got their own ideas, they've got their own memory, they've got their own meaning. When we've reached a point now that there are about 6 different meanings for Kundalini, and the original ancient meaning is getting washed away. And I don't want to see that happen. So we're going to need to come up with a bit of a glossary for ourselves about the words that we're using and how we are using them. She's going to do my coffee. Abby, away. Good girl. And sorry, this table that I'm using is really rickety. It's really old. I love it. Um, so what I'll be doing throughout the series is pulling aside those words and talking about those words in particular, what they mean, how they're being used, because of the way English language is structured, I'm going to be using a lot of English terms and words in a completely new context. I'm going to, wherever I can, probably just create new words. I would rather create new words and establish a new collective bubble than to borrow from words that we already have and adjust a bubble that already exists. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, as you can see, the animals want their breakfast. I haven't had my coffee. Have a lovely day, everybody, and we will talk again soon.